You picked the word. Fortunate, blessed, lucky. How lucky have we been the last 20 years of Alex Ovechkin?
I'm going to go fortunate, and you've seen it from the jump. I've seen it for 14 years, but every night you come to the rink, you don't know how it's going to play out. It can start slow, it can start fast, but he always seems to have his fingerprints on it. And for me, to be able to do the calls that people hear or see for the greatest goal scorer of all time, you can't dream this stuff up. I couldn't have possibly imagined this.
No, and it is a blessing because we were coming out of such a dark point. You think about the lost season of 04-05 and how much expectation was heaped upon Alex Ovechkin and Sidney Crosby. Here you go, two kids, bring us out of the darkness. And boy, did they deliver. They answered the expectations. They were fabulous in that rookie season, and to be able to put description to their amazing talent for all of these years. And with Alex in particular, I've mentioned this time after time, he challenges your point and your ability to describe. He challenges that every night with something that's going to be occurring on the ice that you're going to go,
Ovechkin storming in. Alexander Ovechkin curl and drag to the back end. He scores! Simply sensational!
I am deeply envious of Simply Sensational,
Yeah.
simply because how in the world do you begin to describe something like that?
I was just so glad that at that time, if I remember right, it was a 5-1 game. And Lockhart already checked out on the game as usual, so he's packed up and he's basically in the bus. But this thing happens, and the fan reaction in the building, the hush, the cutaways to Gretzky on the bench, the contortions that he puts himself through to do it. And thankfully, I stayed in that frame of mind that at any time, on any shift, something spectacular can happen. And I didn't plan it. You never plan something like that. You'll never see that again. I'll never say it again because of the gravity and the magnitude that it had, and it's been referred to as the goal for the last 2 decades. Just a wonderful experience, and he treated you to so many of them in the rookie year. He had a 7-game goal scoring streak as a rookie. He scored goals in 12 of 14 as a rookie. These are things that just weren't happening at that time, and he was able to take the stage, command the spotlight, and run with it.
Ovechkin on the left side, a shot, he scores! Ovechkin! Game winner! Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, New York!
I don't know how you began in this business. I don't know what your goals and aspirations were when you started. I knew that I wanted to be in the NHL. I knew that I wanted to be with a team that won a Stanley Cup. I could not have envisioned, I was in college when Gretzky passed Hal, and I couldn't even in that moment, even doing student radio, even doing the very beginnings of this profession, it would not have crossed my mind to say, oh, you know what I'd really like to do? The next guy that comes along, I want to be the guy that calls the record-breaking goal. You literally can't dream that up when you're thinking about doing this job. Did you ever, when did you start thinking that we could do something like
Well,
this?
I knew he was a generational player at the beginning. That player, I keep coming back to one word, was electric. The first time I ever saw Alex Ovechkin at a World Junior tournament in North Dakota, electric. I mean, if you look at his World Junior record, I want to say he was a goal a game for 18 games. And when I first saw him, it was nuts. The speed, the power, the puck protection, the shot, the ability to separate, to run over or around defensemen. All of those things as a junior, he took to the professional level and multiplied it by 10. Now, you're asking me when. Honestly, I would say at 500.
Backdoor look, Ovechkin rips, he scores! In a flash! Welcome to the club, number 500 for the Gr8.
I really thought at 500, he did it so quickly, and not that it was without effort or without strain from him, But at 500, I thought, you know what, if you do the math, and if he's as durable as he has been, you just might get there.
You and I have the perspective, and anyone that I guess in our game and does what we do, when there are moments like this, we are hopeful for something that we'll call, for lack of a better word, clean.
Yeah.
Because I remember at 499, he scored in overtime in New York against the Rangers, and we were coming home, and Ottawa, and 500 was on deck. And that was, to me, 500 was probably the most beautiful, quintessential Ovechkin from The Office power play goal. There was no doubt Andrew Hammond never saw the thing as it came his way. And those are great.
It just so happened that in that 500 moment, there's a strobe light that crosses the visual. And that's where In the Flash came from, because it was literally through a flash. If you look at it, you'll see that strobe flash.
I never knew that.
That's where that comes from. You know, In the Club is obviously with the 500 goal club, but In a Flash, because I saw this burst of light. You never know what you're going to get at 600, 700, 800, 900. I hope we all get those, and I think we will. But from an announcer's perspective, and again, challenging your powers of description, you always, when he hits the ice, there's a heightened sense about it.
Kuznetsov looking, Ovechkin drives it, and it's diving Hellebuck. Rebound, score! Alex Ovechkin still going strong, overpowering at 600.
So now that this Gr8 Chase seems to have an alleyway towards its final destination, we're on the verge of it. I find myself arriving at the rink, wherever it's going to be, whether it's Capital One Arena or anywhere on the road, with all of my senses heightened. Because now you realize all these goals in the lead up are going to be connected to his greatness forever.
The frame of reference that I have, when I was in high school, we moved from Minnesota to Ohio, right at the time that Pete Rose was chasing the all-time hit record. I remember when it got down to 20 and 15. And you start to think, like, where is this physically going to happen? And what was nearly shocking to the entire city of Cincinnati was the day before he broke the record on September 10th, he was in the lineup in Chicago at Wrigley Field and got 3 hits to tie and still had another at bat and didn't take himself out of the game and nearly broke the record at Wrigley Field. And I think now of all of the venues that are on deck, and we start to do what we do at dinners on the road, and we start to map out, hey, when do we think this is going to happen? What's 0.7 per game get you? How many times have we seen whatever you think Alex Ovechkin's going to do, he's got a different idea, and it's usually sooner rather than later.
He has a great nose for the goal line, football expression. When he gets around these milestones, he tends to get there quickly, and the excitement that surrounds that, it gets magnified. I'd be lying if I didn't say it was nerve-wracking, I think, on my part, and I'm sure for you, because you know there's this spine-tingling moment that's soon to happen, and you want to make sure that everything goes right, personally, professionally, for the company, for the team, for the player. And then there's the fans' support. The fans know what's happening, and they are equally as alert and at the edges of their seats.
The bench empties. Alex Ovechkin is the 3rd player in National Hockey League history to score 800 goals. He does it here in Chicago, Illinois on the 13th of December, 2022. History here.
I think one of the most fun things for me on these milestones, because the last 2 big ones have come on the road, 700 in New Jersey, 800 in Chicago. And watching fan bases that are not ours appreciating that moment, the respect, not just in Washington, but throughout hockey for what they're watching and witnessing. And everybody gets some little piece of that. And for those cities, they got it. And, we don't know where it's going to land. It's entirely possible it's not here in D.C., but for selfish reasons, we hope we're in our home booth and our home fans.
It is so humbling because now you realize our voices, our descriptions are going to be connected to this all-time achievement for a very, very long time.
Long after we're gone.
I would assuredly say that. And at the same time, you sit and think about all of the goals and all of the milestones and all of the moments that we've had to share, and what goes through Alex's mind. You know, what is he thinking about? I find myself often reflecting upon that because you know after a while he gets tired of the question. Speaking of which, you and I do a lot of interviews in market and out of market. Somebody had the brilliant idea of asking me, Joe, what do you think would happen if he gets it in Pittsburgh? How would the fan base react in Pittsburgh?
Could happen, game 82.
And you had to give it a moment of pause, and I trust. Pittsburgh fans are wonderful. I trust, despite the animosity that's been built up over a tremendous rivalry, that they would give respect where respect is due there.
I think they would. I think if Sidney Crosby were in D.C., I think our fans would do the same. It does give one pause, though, doesn't it, to think about all the venues?
It was an
That's
interesting
the last
question.
one.
It's a very interesting question. And we're throwing darts. You don't know where it's going to be. And
now the shot in for the outside, and Alex Ovechkin, 8-0-2. There are two top skaters in National Hockey League history at the top of the goal-scoring list. It's the Great 8 and the Great 1. And number 99 is on deck.
So I always love it, he said facetiously, when folks ask us, what's your favorite Ovechkin call? And I can't sit there and go, okay, of the thousands that I've had, and I've been fortunate enough to have, I can't give you, all I want as an announcer is to be consistent, to be on time, to be clean, to be respectful, to be descriptive, and to have the fan and the listener and the viewer associate with it. I know there are so many of those moments for you as well.
Yes.
There is one that comes to mind that I remember of yours, and it's around, I don't know, second week in January, maybe 2017. And it's a game that's not on television locally. It's a national exclusive broadcast, and Alex Ovechkin is on the verge of another magnificent milestone, 1,000 total points. We don't have the game. I'm disappointed about that. At that time, I wasn't smart enough to realize I should still probably be getting to the game early to make sure I got a parking space. Well, Dum Dum Me is not there anywhere near the start of the game, but luckily Dum Dum Me has you to listen to. So I'm listening pregame, and I'm listening for all the lead up to what could potentially be a great night. And then boom, you tell me it happened before you know it.
Yeah, 35 seconds. Didn't take long for that one. It's here, it's gone, 1,000 points, and here we are. I marvel at, again, when people talk about the goal, and your call can be associated with said goal, and it is still and will be forever played, and it hits all the right notes for all the right reasons. It is capturing a moment that is almost uncapturable. That you can't possibly expect to happen, and being reflective on it afterward. It truly was simply sensational.
In on the right side, Ovechkin's going to call his own number. He scores! The goal! And 1,000 NHL points! Alex Ovechkin does it again! 35 seconds in, he brings the crowd to its feet!
I haven't been here the whole time to see him in a Capitals uniform, but I did meet him in the most random of places before he ever played a game in the NHL. The Capitals, in the first year of their affiliation with Hershey, where I was the broadcaster, the Capitals came to play a preseason game prior to the 05-06 season. Nate Ewell, who was the broadcaster, the public relations director at the time, comes to me and says, hey, I want to introduce you to Alex. And what was the greatest introduction of all time, and I know that you've heard this, but it was the funniest thing ever, is he says, Alex, this is John Walton. He is the PR and broadcast for Hershey. don't worry, you're never going to see him again. Because he was obviously never going to play for the Bears. So I meet him, we talk, we laugh for a few seconds, and every time that I saw him the rest of the night, he would point at me and say, I never see you again, and then he would leave. Thankfully, he did see me after that, but in a context that would be in the NHL.
In a great way. First time I ever met him, he was overlooking the rink at Capital One. The subfloor was on the ice. There was no ice. I go skate. Alex, there's no rink down there. I go skate. The heart beating out of his chest. The love for the sport was obvious. And I don't think that's ever changed. And one of the cool things about our job is that we get to see these guys grow up. I met him at age 20. He's now approaching 40 and has 2 young children of his own. And wouldn't it be great about 13 years from now if we get to call his son's goals?
Yes.
I'd like to stay in the business long enough for that. But there's such a personality there. His rookie year, it just so happened that I happened to have the same automobile that he did. And you know how much he loves his cars. Rookie year, he's coming out of the garage. I pull up next to him in the same make and model. So disappointed, he's crushed. What do you mean, Alex? I can't have one? Suffice it to say, he has surpassed me in automobiles by miles. Many, many miles, no pun intended. He loves watches. He knows there's one particular watch that he owns that I absolutely admire. He used to walk by me on the plane and wave it under my nose. It's a wonderful life. You son of a...
You just keep shaking it until I yell cut. Yeah. Okay? Yeah, I can't even move it. Another practice? Yeah. Put the dog in the picture. Let's go, Cats!
It's too hot, actually.
Here we go, boys! Come on! Woo! Home run! My God!
We want you, baby. La 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 la.
Congrats, unreal, buddy. Get that record.
Yeah, thank you.
Love you, Alex.
Yeah, love you. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
He used to be, and still is, the guy who loves to laugh the most and laugh the loudest. And I think you see his joy and his love for the sport anytime he scores, for sure, and in the early days with all the glass jumping and phenomenal celebrations. But he's almost as happy, if not more so, when a teammate scores, when the team wins, game-winning goal situations. In the beginning, 20 years ago, I thought, 15 years ago, I thought he was going to hurt people in those celebrations. But that's truly his love for the game.
Get ready.
Yeah. Hey, Mo. It's a good thing you're in history, Now it's number one.
The celebration around all of his achievement that his teammates rally around, to me, I think is one of the most special parts of who he is because of that infectious sense of humor that you talk about. But I at 800 goals and everybody in the room in Chicago embracing the moment. I remember, Peter Laviolette and Spencer Carberry's addressed this too, where we get asked the question, is the chase, is it a distraction? It's always been the opposite of that. It's been a rallying point. It's been something that these guys coalesce around and cheer on, and in some instances, a part of. I think about when he set the all-time goal-scoring record with one team. Now, 787 is a little bit arbitrary, but it's never been done. Trevor Van Riemsdyk assisted on that goal. There are guys that may not get a lot of points, but I say, I was a part of that. I was a part of this. Dylan Strome comes in with the idea, hey, maybe I might be on the ice when that happens. Pierre-Luc Dubois comes in, I might be on the ice when that happens. This is a moment that is his, but it is shared by everyone around him, including us and including the fans. But I like to see that bond that the guys have around it and knowing, they do hear about it and they're always asked about it, just like he is. But there's going to be a really special moment that for a guy like, say, it's Pierre-Luc Dubois
Right.
that couldn't have imagined a year ago, and yet here he is being able to do that.
It's one hand washes the other. Alex scores, usually the team wins. Alex is trying to do the best thing that he can do in his role to help his team as captain win as many games as possible. So keep feeding him. The more he scores, the more likely Washington is to win. He's been so incredibly durable. He's been so amazingly explosive. Yeah, I could give you a list of top 10 goals that I think in my mind off the top of my head. Sure, Phoenix comes to mind. Sure, the move around Hamelic against Montreal comes to mind. So many of them at crucial moments, big moments in games.
You know, you're right when you talked about simply sensational and the goal and being ready for that at the juncture of the game that it wins. How many games have there been where through 2 periods it's kind of sleepy and there's not a lot going on? There's a game against Los Angeles here a few years ago that I remember specifically into the third. It's like, maybe he's got a shot on goal. It's not going particularly well.
Centering pass, score! Alex Ovechkin ties it up. Alex lets it go. Pad save quick. Can't find the rebound. Score! To the centering pass for Brown, right to Ovechkin. Open net waiting. Alex Ovechkin has the hat trick. A natural hat trick in the third period. 3 goals straight.
Those are the things maybe the biggest thing overall about him to me is that at any point in any game, he can go off.
And we're talking about an all-time record for single regular season type goals all time. We're not counting the playoffs, but there are moments in the Stanley Cup playoffs that flood to mind for me the overlasting memory that I will always have of this franchise. June 7, 2018, number 19 and number 8 both holding the cup, both looking at each other, realizing what they've gone through to get there, how many times they fell short, how agonizingly short they fell, and then for them to share in that championship together, a moment that I will never, ever forget.
The chasing days are done!
Alex Ovechkin scores .895!
Alex Ovechkin is the greatest goal scorer in the history of the NHL!
History has been made forever and always here at UBS Arena.
He has done something that no one thought would ever be broken.